How many of you grow crops in your backyard? Crops. I'm not talking about a cute little tomato garden. I'm talking about something you need heavy machinery and rolling hills. How many of you take care of animals? Cats and dogs don't count. Okay, I have those too, one of each. Birds over in the later household. Okay, how many have sheep or goats? An ox? Oh, ants. I thought I actually had someone with an ox. Okay. So now raise your hand if you use actual scales when you share your popcorn at the movie or you share your CSA box. Actual weights and scales? Yeah? Nice. I'm coming to you next time. I'm asking you all these questions because the Torah portion this Shabbat, Kedoshim, these are some of the ways that God lets us know how we can be holy. We are given many options, but they're not always options that we are familiar with. Many times, it's really hard to relate to the Torah. It's written at a time when we were all farmers. We raised cattle and chickens and prayed to God by offering these cattle and chickens up as sacrifices done in the temple by the priests. I'm asking you, please don't bring your pets to temple to me unless it is Pet Shabbat, and then absolutely bring your pets to temple to me. But we are not priests, and we're not sacrificing anything up here. So it leaves us with a big question. How can we understand holiness today? One example from the Torah that we can understand from this Torah portion is do not insult the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind. We can relate to that one. We can even stretch the meaning and say, don't talk behind people's backs and don't sabotage someone's hard work. That one is easy to apply to our lives, kids and adults. But I want to dig a little bit deeper and find out what are the really tiny, small, everyday acts that can elevate our level of holiness in our own homes. And in order to figure that out, knowing not only that we would have kids here tonight, but all the generations we bring with them, I'm going to go straight to the source. So, kids, I'm going to be asking you a couple questions of ways that perhaps you could bring holiness into your home, but don't realize whether you do or not. When your mom gives you a popsicle, if it is not the flavor that you want, what do you do?
I probably ask her for another one.
Is the word please involved?
Yes.
Nice. What happens when you take your pizza and the cheese gets ripped off and is stuck in the middle? Will you still eat that piece of pizza or is it off limits?
I'll still eat it.
You'll still eat it. Do you make a comment that there's no longer cheese on that piece of pizza? Be real here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. How many of you, by show of hands, load the dishwasher? Come on. Really? How many of you right now in this second have a pile of clothes on the floor of your room? Thank you, Candace Smolash. We're being honest here. Okay, I get that. All right. So how old were you when you realized there is indeed no money tree in the backyard?
Time an excuse for not cleaning your room?
It's a trick question. Don't worry about it. Okay. All right, one more question. Will you eat things on your plate if they touch?
Sometimes, depending on what it is.
Depending on what it is. Of course, there is always a caveat to that question.
Broccoli mixed with ice cream, then no.
How many here would eat broccoli mixed with ice cream? Obviously, there's ice cream involved. Who cares? All right, so for parents, you parents out there, you ready? You ready? How bad does the injury have to be before you respond? Does there need to be brain matter?
Pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly if you hear screaming. All right, if we hear screaming, then we know. But we know from our kids so far that you guys are helpful. Raise your hand if you're helpful. Raise your hand if you use your pleases and thank yous. And we're hearing, that's your kid, by the way. All right, parents. Do you ever use the word because I said so.
All the time.
The honesty is fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay. By the end of the day, are you left in the kitchen standing up, eating dinner, which might be something out of a can?
Yes.
What is your favorite meal to eat standing up by the end of the day when everyone else is eating what they want to eat?
Cereal.
Cereal. The old faithful, right? You just need a bowl and a spoon. That's right. Okay. What happens in your house when someone leaves the cereal box open and everything is stale? Do you A, go to that person, B, throw out the cereal, or C, leave it and the next person has to deal with it?
I throw out the cereal. I clean it up.
She cleans it up, right? That's what happens. Some of us would clean it up and some of us would just leave it there. That's when the dads eat it. That's so true. That's so true. Does anyone tuck you in at night, or do you not want anyone near you at that point?
My puppy tucks me in.
Oh, there we go. How many people have puppies that tuck them in? My cat tucks me in. My puppy's not allowed upstairs because he'll eat my cat. Okay, so we have a lot of grandparents out here tonight, too. Grandparents, what is the one word that is universally not in your vocabulary? Well done. That's right. So you have 2 generations you're dealing with. Raise your hand, which is your favorite, your children or your grandchildren? Raise your hand if it's your children. Mom, Dad, they're here. It's me, right? No, my dad's actively shaking his head. No. Raise your hand if it's your grandchildren. Is anyone here blessed with great-grandchildren? Wow. Nice. That's fantastic. Ooh. And the other question that I wrote down, how often do you ignore your own children? Especially when they're at your house, or like absolutely when they're at your house, the grandchildren? Absolutely when they're at your house, right? So we have all these kind of fun things that we don't necessarily think about, but that can make our interactions together more fun, more peaceful, more exciting, and yes, even more holy. They're fun and they're funny, but they get to a bigger point, right? Our kids won't learn unless we do these things and model for them. And it's true with our partners as well. It doesn't matter if you think your partner knows that you're grateful for them. We all need to hear the words, thank you. These expressions must be used often to gain strength, right? Just like a muscle, if you don't use them, they atrophy. Showing gratitude for the garbage being taken out of the dog's bowl being cleaned, I think, is an act of holiness. When we're in our homes, picking up the blanket off the floor, cleaning up the popcorn off the couch, a main problem in our house, is a way of showing you care about the person that does these things 99% of the time. Your 1% contribution is a huge help, and it's an act of holiness. But perhaps the most holy thing that you can do is showing up when someone's hurting, be it a family member or a friend. Not being a bystander when someone's being bullied, that's holy. Not shying away when a friend becomes ill and you're not totally sure what to do. Asking how you can be of help is an act of holiness. The Torah doesn't know about the importance of not fighting over the remote control iPad, PS5, Oculus, or cell phone. Think about it this way. The Torah tells us that if your ox gores my ox, you need to get me a new ox. Translated into modern times, if one sibling breaks the other sibling's iPad, the perpetrating siblings should make restitution in some way. That doesn't mean necessarily a new iPad because, let's be honest, most 10-year-olds don't have that kind of money. But it can and should be a learning opportunity, right, to apologize and learn how to be respectful of other people's stuff. It's a lifelong lesson that can serve any of us. And for grown-ups, maybe that translates into how can we be more holy in our relationships? Maybe don't interfere in other people's relationships. Don't compare your home to theirs. It's not yours. And you may not know what's indeed broken inside. Know that you are responsible for the health of your community, and that might mean keeping your kids home from school when there's green stuff coming out of their nose. Minding your business helps protect other people's business. Conversely, not making assumptions about what someone else is going through is a way of being respectful of other people's stuff and is a way of being holy. Holiness can take so many shapes and forms. It is indeed the everyday small things that elevate our lives to new levels of holiness. The Torah is a living document, and it's okay to replace the word money with Venmo or goat with golden doodle. It's necessary, in fact. We must understand the Torah's commandments in our own language that matches our world and not the ancient world. So think about what's happening in your home or on your team, in your gym, in your office, and ask yourself if you're adding to the holiness there or taking away from it. And remember, it doesn't take much to be holy. We can all start by simply picking the socks up off the floor, taking the attitudes down a notch, and remembering that even sharing your nighttime snack can be an act of holiness. Just ask my kids. There's a popcorn tax in the house. Mom and Dad always get a handful. Shabbat shalom.